down the rabbit hole of rock and roll's past, present, and future. It's Barstool Rockers with your hosts, Jim Finn and Dan Michaels.
It's before 9 o'clock. What are we doing in here anyway?
This is way too early for us. Way too early.
But proper British men are early risers, so that's something to do with it, I guess.
You get a lead on a great interview, you got to take it no matter what time of day it is.
Yep, and today's is definitely a great interview to do, so.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while. An amazing guitarist and a guy that's been, well, he's been kicking up some dust for a while, ever since Procul Harum back in the day.
Talking about Robin Trower joining us this morning on the podcast.
Good morning.
Robin Trower has created a new batch of music for us. It's called Coming Closer to the Day. Congratulations on creating another great album.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now, your output has been pretty incredible ever since you've been releasing new solo albums. You've released one like every couple of years. How do you account for all this creativity, Robin?
I think I'm blessed, to be honest. Very, very fortunate to have a very powerful creative engine. And I think most of it is driven just by the love of playing the guitar. Because I pick up the guitar, I love to play it, I make music on it, and songs come.
Now, when you were young, a lot of people credit the Beatles. You credit Hendrix. He was the turning point for you.
Not strictly speaking, no. I would say I was a big Elvis fan when I was a kid. And,
okay.
I loved his guitar player, Scotty Moore. He's still one of my favorites now. Brilliant player. And he was the reason I started to play the guitar. I wanted to have a guitar. The next big turning point was B.B. King.
Oh, okay.
I really got into B.B. King, and Albert King was another huge hero of mine. And then Jimi Hendrix came along, another huge hero. I think of these guys as my mentors.
And this album, very, very bluesy. And of course, you play all the instruments on this one except for the drums.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
You've done that on the past couple of albums, right?
That's right, yeah. I mean, the whole idea of doing what I do is to have fun. And, this is my idea of heaven. Coming in and playing everything and having fun.
It's nice to love your job, isn't it?
Oh, great.
They always say if you can find a job that you love doing and that makes you happy, stick with it. Yeah. So you've found it.
Can you explain the title of the new album, Coming Closer to the Day?
Well, that song is about, me thinking about, where I'm at, where I've been, and kind of also coming to an awareness that I'm closer to the end than the beginning, and starting to think about, well, if I want to get to where I'd like to be, I need to work harder.
Now, you've got the song Tide of Confusion, and it's about, basically gaslighting and just people throwing out confusion. What sparked you to do that song?
I'm really worried about, the internet spreading, so much rubbish, untruths, half-truths, lies, and people don't know what to believe anymore. So I think it is a big worry.
Now, you're heading out on the road to play this album, perform this album live. You're going to be paying us a visit here in Wisconsin when you play the Pabst Theater on April 14th. Tell us about the band that you take along with you when you head out on the road.
Well, it's myself, obviously.
It wouldn't be the same if you didn't show up, Robin.
Silly thing to say, wouldn't it? Chris Tackett on drums and Richard Watts on bass and vocals. Richard, wonderful singer, covers all my early stuff and does a great job.
So he does like all the Bridge of Sighs and Two Rolling Stoned and then you do the current stuff. That's cool. So is it a nice mix of new stuff and classic Trower?
Yeah, I'm doing 3 or 4 off the new album, and the rest is sort of a few from the early days, some from the middle period. I think it's a good cross-section.
And you're still a Stratocaster guy, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I got to ask you something. Is it true that you originally switched to Fender Stratocasters because one time you were touring alongside Jethro Tull, and during a sound check, you found Martin Barr's Strat propped against an amplifier, and you picked it up, you started playing it, and that's when you made the switch to Fender Strats?
That's absolutely true.
Yes!
Yeah, I responded to it immediately, and I had to just go out and buy a Strat the next day.
And that's been it ever since, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
When did you start getting influenced by the blues?
Well, I think I started to hear B.B. King about 62, something like that, and then there were other players that I heard, Otis Rush. I was a big fan of Otis Rush, and then Albert King came along. So it's around that early 60s to middle 60s period.
Where do you see the blues at right now? It's kind of in a rebirth in ways with the younger generation. Do you see there being a strong future for the genre?
Well, I don't think of myself as a blues artist. I think of myself as a rock and roll player who's influenced by blues.
Okay.
And I don't think there's going to be any other great blues artist coming along because it belongs to a generation that is mostly gone now.
What is it about some of those great bluesmen, B.B. King and all of those guys? What is it about them that made them so special?
Well, you're talking about guys that are giants as musicians. Never mind about the fact that they were creating something that you hadn't heard before. But underlying it all is the soulfulness of it, the depth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's deep stuff.
Robin, you helped shape the overall sound of Procul Harum back in the day. When you left Procul Harum back in the 70s, was it mainly because you wanted to do your own thing and pursue a solo career?
I started to write a lot more music, that was obviously guitar-based, and I just needed an outlet for it, really. And it just, Procul Harum was, very much a keyboard band. I took a chance, and here we are.
And you had Matthew Fisher produce those first couple of solo albums, so you must have carved out a decent working relationship with him.
Oh, yeah, Matthew and I got on great. We always were good buddies. And he produced an album by Procul called Salty Dog.
Mm-hmm.
And
Classic.
I was impressed with that job he'd done. And I wanted to work with a mate anyway. I didn't want to work with a stranger.
Right. And you've worked with some other brilliant musicians, including Jack Bruce. Who inspires you?
Well, all the people I've mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
My all-time favorite musical entity is James Brown. So I should say he's been the most inspiring. James Brown live at the Apollo album, I think. Well, I mean, it changed everything. It changed everything for everybody.
So on this tour, you'll have gentlemen come out and put a cape on you, is what you're saying.
I'm talking about the music, actually.
Oh, okay.
Not the show.
Robin, how long did this album take to create?
I don't think I did that many days, because what I would do would be do 3 or 4 days in the studio, put some stuff down, have a break, live with it for a bit, come back maybe and have another go at it. I mean, there's some tracks on there that I recorded more than once. In fact, song Tired of Confusion, I recorded 3 different times until I was happy with it.
Well, again, congratulations on creating something great for us again, Mr.
Thank
Trower.
you.
And we're looking forward to you performing these songs live. Of course, we get to see you at the Pabst Theater in April. We know you're on a tight schedule today, Robin, but thank you again for taking some time to talk with us.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Those proper English gentlemen, they are just so articulate.
They're so concise.
So concise. It's an economy of words, Dan. An economy of words.
They don't mess around.
Something
like
you and
we
I
do.
don't have.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And what else do we have to talk about here? Let's see. There was a story the other day, Gene Simmons talking about, yes, I'm all about me. And I drive people crazy doing that.
What?
I know. Exactly.
Gene is a narcissist?
No.
Come on.
No. Never. And then, of course, speaking of which, David Lee Roth was talking, last year about there being shows with the original thing. We talked about this on the last one.
Yep.
Shows with the original thing. And
More Van
they'd be
Halen
happening
news.
this year, and they'd be in a stadium and all these different things. Now it sounds like that's not going to happen. The latest rumor from the rumor is that won't happen until next year. Eddie's taking another year off. And if it happens next year, it might happen on a ship.
Well, on a ship?
On a ship.
The Love Boat with Van Halen.
Yes,
Okay.
There you go. The Van Halen cruise. How would you like to be on that one?
Cruise to BH. All right.
So that'd be a very interesting one. So what else do we have coming up here soon?
We have another epic interview coming up. Another prog rock legend. Do you want to mention it?
I think we should probably wait until it's in the can. I'd love to. I would love to do the big tease, but given the ability to get things done in time, who knows?
Yeah, it could be next year before we hear this one. No, that's cool. All right. Well, there you go. So follow us online, barstoolrockers.com.
You can get the podcast there. You can get the podcast by listening to, Spotify, iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're all over the place. We'd really appreciate a fair review, a fair rating.
Yeah.
We'd like to get to the hundreds of listeners mark at some point.
Would be nice.
And you can also get it on the iHeartRadio app, so that's kind of cool, too.
Until next time.
Work hard, rock hard, eat hard, sleep hard, grow big, wear glasses if you need them.